Intuitive eating is great, as long as you remember that your intuition evolved before pizza, ice cream, donuts, and deep-fried cheese were invented. There you go. Video's done. You also have to remember that we're animals, who are biologically programmed, like every other animal, to consume food like every other animal. That is, feel hunger, find food, eat until our biological mechanisms tell us that we're at digestive capacity, stop, and repeat. The engineered, purposefully addictive, hyper-palatable junk food, combined with restrictive diets and our increasingly disconnected society, has essentially guaranteed the failure of our built-in appetite-regulating mechanisms. A reaction to the inherent and guaranteed failure of our food culture, restrictive eating, and the havoc it has wreaked in our lives is intuitive eating. I am overall in glowing agreement with intuitive eating, but I feel that the principles of intuitive eating are quite broad and vague and general, and broad, vague, general shit really doesn't do any favors for anyone. So I'd like to go through the principles of intuitive eating and have a short discussion. Number 1, reject the diet mentality. Yes! Caloric restriction results in crash metabolisms, undeniable cravings, losing control, weight gain, and all the crazy self-hating shit that goes along with that. The sooner we can stop dieting and get onto an awesome lifestyle that promotes abundance, vitality, and real food, the better off we'll all be. Number 2, honor your hunger. Oh, yes. I would like to clarify though, the feeling of deprivation that comes from dieting, it's not a feeling in the way that most people use the word. Feelings are interpreted, unfortunately, as deniable or changeable. Hunger caused by deprivation is a biological reality. You don't have a primal urge to overeat. You have a primal drive to eat sufficient calories until you're satiated, which is achieved by eating whole, fiber-rich plant foods that are actually capable of triggering your satiety mechanisms, while also providing the essential nutrition and calories to prevent cravings. If you are overeating, it's probably because you've been undereating on overly processed, hyper-palatable shit, and your body is trying to compensate. Your voracious appetite will naturally regulate once your body is confident that sufficient calories and sufficient nutrients are going to be delivered to you on the regular. Biologically appropriate food. Number 3, make peace with food. Give yourself unconditional permission to eat. Great idea. Get far away from the restriction mindset. They do say not to have shoulds or shouldn'ts about particular foods. And that's where we definitely disagree, as there's no reason to include foods that aren't good for you and cause a reaction in your body that make you feel like crap. Avoiding these types of foods and feeling great sounds peaceful. Nothing wrong with it. 4. Challenge the food police. Well, let's get something straight. The police aren't inherently bad. Our police force helps to regulate society and keep us all safe. Just like responsible guidelines regarding the health of foods promote our well-being. However, power-drunk white supremacist cops are the real-life and much scarier equivalent of that ad that keeps telling me that bananas promote belly fat, or that doctor telling us that bacon is a health food. The quality of the policing matters. I agree that you shouldn't lambaste yourself for dietary fuck-ups. We all screw up sometimes, less than ideal choices happen. It's fine. But this is one of those situations where it's way too easy to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Towing the line of reasonable guideline and unnecessary restriction is difficult, especially when people start getting fully raw ideas in their head. The intuitive eating principles address the unreasonable food rules that have been created by dieting, which is why I suggest more reasonable guidelines. Whole, high-carb plant foods equal your dietary staples. Number 5, respect your fullness. Absolutely! There's no reason to continue eating after you're happily satiated. Unless you have some sort of passive extreme restriction, in which case your stomach is probably a little small. In that case, you're gonna have to eat smaller meals more often and reassess once your appetite and stomach capacity has become a little bit more normal. But even as a high-carb vegan, there have been plenty of times that I have stopped partway through a meal and realized I'm full, I don't want any more, and so the extra goes in the icebox for tomorrow. You just have to be mindful that if you're prone to restriction, this is the place where it can start to creep in. Number 6. Discover the satisfaction factor. Enjoy your food. Oh, yes, it is very important to eat foods that you enjoy, foods that you love, and foods that love you back. In my opinion, a huge factor in whether or not I enjoy a food is being able to enjoy the way that food makes me feel. Foods are capable of changing your body and brain chemistry. Many people have shared stories of feeling physically and mentally sick after eating certain foods. There are thousands upon thousands of foods available to us today that are designed by food engineers to be addictive and affect the way our neurotransmitters function. Eating these foods imbalances us, and they are, in my opinion, the equivalent of taking drugs. And again, in my opinion, these highly processed pseudo-foods are inappropriate for human consumption. Call them bad food if you want to, but I simply just don't acknowledge that they're food. So yes, discover the satisfaction factor. The satisfaction of eating deliciously seasoned food that supports your well-being and vitality to the exclusion of drug-like pseudo-foods that suck the life out of you and promote disease. 7. Honor your feelings without using food. I wholeheartedly agree. Suppressing or trying to avoid our feelings leads to all types of addictions, not just food addiction and overconsumption. Processing our feelings is incredibly important to all levels of health and behavior modification. That said, in this crazy, overwhelming, heartbreaking world, we all need to go numb sometimes. I know that if I had to feel everything all the time, I would lose it in a big way. I used to deny this and try to force myself to be constantly present, and I would inevitably binge to go for that numbness. Now, on the days when I know I need to take the edge off, I choose to numb mindfully. I know that watching a stupid comedy movie while I'm wrapped up in my comforter and eating vegan sushi on the couch is an excellent way to take care of my need to feel less without actually damaging my own health or well-being. There are many other ways, like pleasant exercise, yoga, meditation, listening to music, playing, talking to someone who's supportive, a relaxing bath, or simply giving yourself permission to blob on the couch for a while. Actually feeling your feelings, or choosing to numb mindfully if your feelings are currently too overwhelming, can both be done without abusing food, other substances, or yourself. 8. Respect your body. Accept your body shape. Basically, yeah, not everybody looks like Kylie Jenner, either before or after her extensive plastic surgery. And depending on the details of your past, you may never be able to achieve the body that is considered ideal by our ridiculous society. But regardless of your physical appearance, it is vital to your health, happiness, and well-being that you learn how to respect, appreciate, value, and even love who you are on every level. You don't have to be perfect to be lovable or appreciated, and the way you treat yourself sets the standard for how you allow other people to treat you as well. So your body is doing the best that it can. Be nice to it. Give it what it needs. Bananas.
Come to me, guys. Come.
Number 9, exercise for the enjoyment of movement, not caloric burn. Amen. Moving feels amazing, and how amazing it feels compounds over time. This principle is definitely in alignment with my belief that exercise should be intuitive, flexible, and for pleasure first and foremost. If I have a 3-mile jog planned and I'm just not feeling it, I make adjustments. Maybe instead I go for a nice walk and focus on the beauty around me. Or I do a nice little yoga session. Or maybe I go out and I end up feeling amazing and running 5 miles instead of 3. It's flexible. It takes time to stop obsessing about burning calories and burning fat, but really, do try. If exercise becomes punishment, you won't be able to keep it up because you can't punish yourself indefinitely. Last but not least, 10. Honor your health. It's what you eat consistently over time that matters. Progress, not perfection, is what counts. Yep. Totally agree. Although I do think that everyone will agree that I have narrowed the scope significantly, since I believe that whole plant foods are the ideal staple foods, and I do strive for the ideal as often as I can. And that's not out of perfectionism or obsession. It's because my health was so shitty from such a young age that I really feel it if I stray. So overall, I am in agreement with intuitive eating. In fact, after I learned more about it, I realized that basically I am doing intuitive eating myself. My only complaint is that the official intuitive eating guide is purposefully really vague and open to interpretation, which can lead to people justifying a lot of dietary indiscretions that can and do affect our health and limits the improvements that are available to us. I guess I'm just a little bit more to the point when it comes to informed consent. If you're going to consciously participate in a behavior, I think it's only fair that the participant be fully aware of the consequences and repercussions of their decisions. And I think it's perfectly reasonable to make those decisions with consequence avoidance as a motivation. And I feel like a lot more people would be more purposeful about their food choices if they weren't constantly fed these messages of everything in moderation is fine. It's all about moderation. 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 Well, what the fuck is moderation? Define it. You know, people say, sure, you can eat chocolate cake in moderation. Well, what's moderate? Twice a day? Once a day? Once a week? Once a month? Once a year? What is moderate consumption? It's vague. It's vague on purpose. And I don't like that. I also feel that intuitive eating is really similar to most diets in that it's very self-centered. If I had my way, which I suppose I do right now, I would add another principle. Number 11. Honor the health, well-being, and happiness of others, as well as the planet you live on. Your choices matter, and your actions have consequences far beyond your own self. Living in selfishness erodes integrity, and it limits our ability to feel, empathize, and connect to ourselves and with others. When you can acknowledge the way your choices affect others and purposely change your lifestyle to reflect compassion and empathy, the need for denial and disconnection evaporates, leading us into truly integrative health and wholeness. So if you would be so kind as to rate this video, I know Petunia would really appreciate it. We'd be so grateful. Subscribe if you haven't already, and share your experiences with intuitive eating and veganism in the comments section below. And until next time, make better choices for yourself and those around you, and take really, really good care.